Don't use hugs against Ella. Lucifer gets shot again, but I don't know which hurts more, that or being called a boyfriend. And Big Ben strikes 10, or at least it used to. Shared office spaces sound like hell to me. This is the answer. This is the answer. And that's not candy. Okay, everybody, let's get rolling. Pun intended. We are talking Netflix's Lucifer Season 4, Episode 5, Expire Erect. The AfterBuzz After Show starts right now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Would you ever admit to using Molly?
Would I ever?
Admit to it. I don't know.
Right now, right here.
You would use it.
Oh my God, are you kidding?
You're a
No,
Molly.
I would not use it today anymore, but I've been very open about my past.
Oh, that's real.
And things I've tried, and I related to this episode in quite a few ways.
A little. That's why people need to listen to tomorrow's show. Just to let you know.
Oh yeah.
Because
then
you
you'll know.
you really.
Well, if this show
Put
was
your
still
walls
on
on.
Fox, maybe I wouldn't be out talking about this, but it's on Netflix, so I feel like I'm playing by Netflix's rules.
Oh,
right?
so Netflix allows you to be a little more R-rated.
Oh,
R stands for
yeah.
Roxy. I get it now.
But nobody could call me R, the way people call you T.
I know. No one calls me T.
People call you T.
Only one person calls me T.
And he's
that's-
your favorite WB.
He is my favorite WB, as I am sitting here with my beautiful, amazing, illustrious
Whoa.
queen of the queens of the queens. You've added an extra queen here.
Okay.
Roxy Striar is in the building.
Queen of the brains, queens of everything, queen of the queens.
You were also
Next.
queens of the ratchets at one point, too.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
true.
But I have moved on from
You have
that
moved up.
point. I'll take queen of the queens, especially when we're playing with such queens as Eve, Chloe, Maze. I mean, these are some of the best queens of all time.
They
Slay,
are.
queen, slay.
They are some of the best queens of all time.
We've got great characters on this show on both sides, but I will say I think that the women characters on this show would slaughter the men in a fist fight. I am talking
I
about.
must agree. And we also have great characters on this panel, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure you would slaughter me in a fist fight here, too. My name's Tehran. I will be hosting this panel as we talk all things Lucifer, Season 4, Episode 5, Expire Erect. Yes, I said that correctly.
You did it right.
Expire Erect. Today we will be talking about the case, of course, but then get to the heart of the show, what the case was really about. Eve overstaying her welcome. Eve's agenda. Lucifer needing closure. Chloe needing closeness. Ella's revelation. Maze and Dan. Are we still kind of shipping that or not? Think like a criminal. Dan is going to the dark side. You are my father. Old Lucifer versus new Lucifer. Eve and Ella. Amenadiel and Chloe's heart-to-heart. Is Eve good for Lucifer or not? We have some news and gossip. Our special segment, Circles of Hell. Of course, we're missing Stephen Lemieux because he was thrown into a circle of hell. And predictions and much, much more on today's show. Roxy, overall thoughts?
Well, you think that the Hell Circles were mad at Steven for having that be our special segment every week, so they actually just swallowed him whole? They're
might
like,
happen.
stop revealing our secrets.
You know, it's funny you say that because there are times where Lucifer is a much more playful show about hell, but there are some shows, specifically when I was watching Sabrina, where I was feeling some type of way. And it's not like I'm a particularly religious person, but I was like, wow, this is kind of taboo, dark stuff.
And you get nervous to talk about it. I mean, here on AfterBuzz TV, we're talking about it to people globally, and I'm
Yes.
thinking, but is somebody going to come and get me and quiet me up talking about these God and hell secrets?
I mean, it could actually happen.
It could happen.
Because there are people, you know, there are real, I feel like, church of exorcism, you know, international.
Well, Father Kinley for sure
Yeah.
is coming to get us.
There's a real Father Kinley out there.
I mean, there's no way that we make it out without him making an appearance on this show, for better or worse.
And they've done a thing where they haven't brought him up in 2 episodes.
It's been too long. What are you planning, Father?
It's
what are
dangerous.
you planning? Yeah.
It's dangerous, but I love this episode. It was amazing. It's exactly what I want Lucifer to be. And the thing about this is the case turned into a case. which
Yeah, that's true.
it was more. It
case
was
of the
much
case.
more. Exactly. And I
Yeah.
enjoyed it very much.
I think it's great because we're at the halfway point now. So we've got 10 episode season. This is episode 5. And usually right around here is when shows start to take that dip. They get a little lazy. They don't want to show us all the action. There's a lot of filler episodes. Not on Lucifer. This was a fire episode, pun intended. But I don't have Steven to 10 seconds later say that he gets my joke.
There we go.
Thank you,
But we
Steve,
do
in the
have our
booth.
own very Steven in the booth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
showing
sir.
us
That
what's
was
going on.
3 seconds on that one.
Oh, good, good. Well, it takes Stephen Lemieux a little longer, so you gotta be slower than that,
Yeah,
Steve.
sometimes it takes a little longer. With this case, we're going to talk the victim, Derek Lee, still had his car keys in his wallet. And the house obviously had not been touched. Definitely not a robbery.
No.
Then we find out the cause of death was pressure washer jammed in his throat full blast. He literally
Hate when
did.
that happens.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward.
Yeah,
I've always wondered what happens because pressure washers have a lot of force.
they do. They really do. People use them for many of reasons.
No, I mean, how come every time you say something with a smirk, it just sounds wrong? I don't even know what these many reasons could possibly be.
To clean things.
Okay. Why? Can you stop doing that? Stop doing that.
I am not capable of not doing that.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Then we get a second victim, Sid Kluge. And of course, the murderer was Marco Franklin. Marco Franklin, the very first person, I'd like to say that I was the first one to notice this check mark. Marco Franklin, the very first person they spoke to, the first witness, was the murderer. But then...
For the 5th episode in a row
Yes.
on this show,
And I like
Tehran.
it. You would think it gets silly or redundant, and it doesn't.
But do you think most people at home have caught on to that fact?
I think most people who watch our after show have.
Because you said it.
Yeah, but that's the
I'm just saying until
benefit
you
of watching an after show.
Until you said it, I did not relate those two things. They did not correlate to me. So I
Well,
think
in this one, I was kind of right, but then,
you were kind of wrong.
because they threw in a second case in which Marco is the victim, stabbed by the person he was looking for, Leona Franklin.
gotta hate that. Gotta hate when you're looking for somebody and then they come and find you first. I thought that this was interesting. I know I've learned a lot from you, Tehran, about all these double meanings. And I thought the most interesting part about this case was Chloe and Lucifer working on this case because of all of the closure references and whatnot. And I think that the twist of that helped this case go longer. And that was all I cared about with this case, that it didn't end, kind of like how they felt. I just needed it to keep going.
We got something very interesting in episode 4 where Chloe goes on a case with Dan and it's like, I didn't want, that's why I wanted to not work with Lucifer is because of how he approaches things. And we see Dan going dark. Then we see Lucifer do something very Lucifer-ish where he grabbed a tire off the wall and threw it. And threw it at the guy and was like, didn't have to chase him at all. He got tired.
That was fire.
That was so fun. It was so fun.
And it was like I feel as if you told Steve you were going to make that joke before. He is quick
He's
with that.
on it. And that's our Steve who's in the booth, not Stephen Lemieux, not to be confused with
No,
one
he's
another.
still in hell.
Yeah, he's
Stephen
definitely
can't
in
do
hell.
anything
no,
from hell.
He's in hell. We got a variety of cars on this one. We got a Mercedes Goldwing just for the car enthusiasts.
Are you a car enthusiast?
I am.
I've seen what you drive sometimes.
I'm a car person, not super. I'm not one of those guys who's like, I need this car, but I like cars. I like cars and I enjoy them. And I've had a variety of cars, but also my father has a mechanic shop, so I've been around cars my whole life.
Okay.
So I really like good deals. So I like that more than I like cars.
Well, that's the Jew in us.
yeah, that's what it is. That is exactly what it is.
I totally get
And
that.
with
Love
the
a good deal.
With the Persian blood, and then you get the Jewish blood, and then you get the black blood. I'm like
You're a
all
deal
about
guy.
bargains. Yeah, I need deals to live.
So I really appreciate a car, know nothing about a car.
Sure.
All I know is when something looks good, and these looked pretty cool.
Sure,
so I'm
they
excited
did.
for you
Well,
to tell
all
me
of
about
them
them.
but one. So we had a Mercedes Goldwing. We had the Aston Martin. That's the one where actually Lucifer switched out the Corvette for the Aston Martin. So even though they look similar, that was a classic Aston Martin. And then we got the Tucker 48, which is a very rare car. And then we got the even more rare 92 Geo Metro Polynesian Green.
Which one would you drive? Which one is your dream?
I don't have a dream in any of them. However, I've always had a nightmare that I'd be driving a 92 Geo Metro Polynesian Green.
Well, I don't think it's ever going to happen to you.
I hope not.
I don't
That's
think
just
so. I
one
think
of the
you'll
worst
make out
cars.
okay.
One of the worst cars, but it was such a good bargain.
Yeah, oh, well, then you
see,
got to do it.
I'm torn. Were you thrown for a loop when Leona was the one to stab? Because she came in there. She came into the club. There was a hostage situation, of course. Marco had held everyone hostage,
Right.
had the little bomb thing going. And we started this episode in the, like, at that sandwich thing where we had no idea what was going on.
I was not surprised because
Really?
This girl comes in and all of her blondness, and I see you blondes. We're not all just good. I know past your hair.
In case you want to know, Roxy, on iTunes listeners, Roxy's blonde.
Yes, I am, and I pay a lot of money to be blonde. Thank you very much. And I just looked at her like it was too convenient. Oh, I'll just go in there and I'm gonna make it all better. And don't worry, I'll talk him down. From the second she walked in, I was like, uh-oh, this chick is coming in fierce and she's got to turn. I've also seen this actress on so many other TV shows, and I know that she's got range, so it would be silly to bring her in not for an arc. And where do you go from good but to evil?
She fooled me. So she goes in there, she throws in, I'm
Fooled
sorry.
Tehran.
And Marco was like, no, it's, and then she goes in for the hug and like stabs him. I was like, whoa.
But why would she have been so happy with him? She was so genuine. I'm so sorry, Marco.
So good. And this is how you know, guys, we fall for those things. When you guys fake it, we believe you. And this is a perfect example. I believed her.
I thought that she did a good job selling it. It's always interesting when an actor has to act as a character, because that's really what this was. She's an actress who's acting as the character, you know, and I think that can be really challenging. And so she fooled you.
How much more existential can we get than
I don't
this?
know. I don't know if
So
we
we
can.
related the case to closure, and we feel that. But before we got to the closure, we saw Lucifer feeling the dreads of being called someone's boyfriend. Boo, bae. She wasn't up to date on the slang, but she used the word boyfriend.
So I'm also not up to date on the slang. What is the current hip thing? Is it bae? Is it boo? Is it what do we call it now?
Roxy. You just say, you call the person,
By their name, but that doesn't distinguish what they are to you.
This is my love of my life, Roxy. I just...
Yeah, but I don't think she's ready to say that. I mean, I just
Which
wonder.
one do you use?
I use single.
Oh, okay.
Does that work?
That's the best one to have,
I think
right?
that it was great that she threw that out there because she's so innocent. She doesn't really know. And yeah, thousands of years ago, you bang someone once. Guess what? They are your boyfriend. Because
boyfriend, that was your husband.
There's
that
no
was all
one
that
else.
it took.
There was only two men. Whichever one you sleep with, that's your boy.
Technically, there was only one man and a Satan and a devil.
Or one man and a really long penis, from what we heard about.
Well, a banana. It was more like a banana. The forbidden fruit, what was being alluded to was that the forbidden fruit was
a ding dong.
Lucifer's penis.
It was a ding dong.
It was more like a banana shape.
And trust me, in news and gossip, we're going to hear all the people who want to see the banana of Lucifer. A little plug there.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing.
So do you feel like Eve is overstaying her welcome?
No, I don't, because this is the problem with men and women in relationships.
Who hurt you, Roxy?
All the people. She is giving the signs like, you are my boyfriend, here is what I want. And he, behind her back, is kind of iffy on it, but to her face is giving her the signs back. Yeah, that's what I want as well. And she is not capable of reading between the lines at this point, because guess what? She's like a newborn baby. She's new to Earth. She's not picking up on your subtle little hints, Lucifer. All she knows is you guys are banging like rabbits. Why is that an expression? Do rabbits have a lot of sex?
They do.
Okay, you're banging like rabbits all day long, in the shower, in the bed, in the living room. She bought this Eve costume. I'm wearing me. obviously she
I
thinks.
did feel like the Eve costume could have been a little more revealing, just to let you know.
Because we're on Netflix. I agree.
On Netflix, exactly. I was expecting it
Especially
to be
when
a
you
little
got a
more.
girl who's as banging as this girl. I
Yeah.
mean, her body was unreal and she's stunning. I agree. She's a little, Eve is naked.
Exactly.
So I thought that could be a fun way to play, but whatever. It didn't really matter. I'm just saying, she's going to sit there and think you're her boyfriend. Duh.
Yes, but on the
Oh,
other hand,
no.
hold, can I just?
can.
It's been a week. It's been a week. Okay.
For her, a week. Well, at that point in life, you only live till you're like 7.
Okay.
A week is a big percentage of your life.
Eve lived for a long time. Lived for a long time, and she's learned a lot. Sure, she's new to this Earth, but she's been on Earth before, and she was, from what we're getting, the first person to cheat. Now, that story is usually reserved for Lilith, and it's interesting that we're equating that to Eve in this one.
I'm still confused on what we are claiming Eve has done and Eve's story in this, because it's hard to not take your knowledge of the Bible and relate it to
And apply it,
and
of
apply
course.
it. So I'm having a hard time keeping things straight. Also regarding the Cain and Abel situation, I had to really think about this show and be like, wait,
Cain and Abel are Adam and Eve's children.
yeah, and then think about, because when we watched the whole Cain storyline on this show, the last thing I was thinking about was, oh, Cain's mom's going to pop in and totally going to bone Lucifer. So now connecting all of those dots as the people has been interesting.
It is. And we do have to apply our knowledge and listen to the story as they're telling it, because it's a perspective, right? So the same way King James is different than an Orthodox Bible, it's just a different perspective.
Right.
Similar story, but a different take on it.
And her perspective is, I'm pissed. I was made to be somebody's wife, and
Yes.
I had no choice in that. And I'm not about that life. So no, I didn't cheat. I decided that I had personal thoughts.
Also, another characteristic that was traditionally, or at least in the mythology, reserved for Lilith.
Why do you think they're doing that?
I don't know what they're setting up, and that's where I want to get into what is Eve's agenda. Does she have a secret one?
Definitely think she does.
Especially with the Cain thing.
With the Cain thing. So Amenadiel bringing up the Cain and Abel situation made me think, when she responds and was like, well, no, he deserved to die after all those things. You're still a mom. You're a mommy. And I don't know if any parent believes that of their kid. It struck me as, why did they throw this story in here? And then also, now with all this foreshadowing, and we'll get to Chloe more, but with Chloe kind of giving her blessing,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, she's too good. This is too easy. Something's up with Eve. It's all about Eve, and I'm going to figure out what that means.
Did you ever watch Dogma, the movie?
Duh, I did. I'm a huge Jay and Kevin fan.
Amazing, right? The concept of Dogma was that when you could disprove something of God, then the world would end. Well, I think possibly there's a similar storyline with Eve, because Amenadiel brings up, do you know what the ramifications of you leaving heaven are?
Do you think God knows? Do you think God possibly sent her?
I think God is omniscient and omnipresent. So it's interesting.
But he clearly wasn't able to control Lucifer's actions.
Was he or she not? That is the question. That is a theoretical question. So the concept is, just because you know something's going to happen, does that mean you have to prevent it? And there's always the theory that God's understanding of the universe is so vastly different than ours that we often anthropomorphize God to make a God-like entity do the things that we would do. Why do bad things happen? Because we're thinking, if I was God, I wouldn't let bad things happen. However, the same way that we know, for example, TVs exist, and I could explain it to you. You may not know how it works, but I could explain to you. Would you ever be able to explain that to an ant? And the answer is no. That is the difference of intelligence.
Well, I could
between
explain,
us
but they would
and God.
understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I
bad and
think
evil doesn't have the same meanings in God's universe.
theory, what if Eve and God have teamed up to send Eve there because God does not want Lucifer with Decker, and God's theory is, I'm going to send Eve. I already know that Lucifer can fall for her, and Eve is like, I don't really want to go be with him, but I want to go to Earth, so I'll just use this, fine, whatever. I'll use this as my way there. I'll make him fall in love with me, and then I can stay on Earth for as long as I want.
So the concept of freedom of choice, right? Free choice. Is it real or not? We don't know. That's a theory that's, people would fight over that all the time. So from Descartes to Nietzsche, that's the concept. So my thing is this. We do know that God always has an end of days game plan. That's mentioned in every single revelation of every single religion basically on earth.
And in the show, Lucifer.
And specifically an agenda in Lucifer. So is this
What do you think it
not
is?
this plan? I think that all things are possible when it comes to God and
Don't pull a
heaven and
Stephen
hell.
on me. I
That's
asked you
how
a
it
very
works.
clear
all
question.
Things are possible. Lucifer needs closure.
Yeah, he does. And I think that this is why your girlfriend Linda is not a good therapist. Every time he leaves your office, he takes what you say and interprets it in the wrong way. He hears Chloe say the word closure and thinks that this is going to be the thing to give it to him, when really this is the thing that opened the door again. He's like, oh, yep, now I got that closure. What is he going to do? He's going to be her partner.
Yeah, I'm going to be
again.
working with you again.
Is that closure? Because I'm pretty sure working with your ex does not bring you closure.
Not his ex.
His ex-lover.
Okay, definitely never had any love. Do you feel that Lucifer does actually need closure? Would it be better off if they were apart?
I'm torn. It depends on who Eve is. And no, you shouldn't be with one person because you can't be with another person. But if Eve is his soulmate and is the right match for him and is not the manipulative or malicious person that she could be that we're theorizing, then maybe Chloe isn't the right match for him. But so far from what we've seen season 1, 2, and 3, I dig Chloe and Lucifer together.
Interesting. So we get this situation where Chloe kind of digs her and Lucifer, at least being
she's
close.
feeling it. But girl, this is seller's remorse. You turned him away in his time of need. He showed you his face, and you said, I'm looking at you, Chloe, right now, that you couldn't handle it.
He's the devil, Roxy.
I know. Well, I'm not saying that that's bad. If you know yourself and you're like, yeah, I can't handle banging the devil, lover boy, then you need to leave, Chloe. But
Yes.
now, what has happened, Tehran? Another woman has come in and she's like, oh, you couldn't handle it? Okay, no worries. Guess who can handle it, bitch? I can. That's my man. Exactly. And now Chloe's like, oh, you can handle it? Oh, you don't have a problem looking at him? Oh, maybe I don't either. Oh, okay.
But why? Okay, so in the beginning, we decided to examine why men do what they do, which is not communicate if they're feing differently
why do
because they don't
women-
want to have that conflict with a woman. Well, then why? What is it about a woman being in a jealous situation which attracts the woman to the man?
So obviously these are vast generalizations. They can go for either sex as well.
No, they're
but
exactly what happens no matter what at all times.
that's true. And free will, God, does not exist.
Yeah.
So I think
Sarcasm for the people out there.
let us be. I told you guys, we're Jews. We get to be sarcastic. I don't know if those things go hand in hand. I think that what's happening is Chloe assumed that Lucifer was always going to be there because he's so in love with her, and she can tell that.
She took it for granted.
And she took it for granted. And I don't think she thought that A, he would move on, but B, so quickly. And she was okay with hearing about and knowing he was banging a ton of women, but it was when she realizes it's one woman that it's a huge problem for her.
It's when Ella allows her to realize it was one. Ella was like, it's fine. It's one woman?
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like, yeah. Oh, wow. That's bad.
Uh-oh.
That's bad.
Because who cares? It's for Chloe, she's a grown woman. It's not about the sex. It's about who you want. And if Lucifer is picking one person, he's obviously into her, which is a huge problem because Chloe only wants him to be into her so she can have the option.
And that's another thing that happens is I don't want you, but I don't want you to want other people.
But that's why I do love where we come to at the end. She seems really genuinely concerned for his well-being.
Yes.
And she does really want him to be happy. And she knows the story of the Bible, and she realizes maybe Eve is good for him. And that's the second I thought maybe she's not.
Well, my concern was the fact that she used the Eve from the Bible to allow for that revelation.
Because you don't know.
It's easier when it's, oh, this is biblical, rather than it's just some girl. Because I remember how Chloe felt when it was Candy the stripper.
Loved Candy.
Yeah.
His wife.
His wife. And she felt
Man
some type
and
of way.
wife.
Yeah, that was a real thing that kind of happened. It was fake.
Yeah, but I
it was
also
done.
think that she thought that he could do better than Candy for whatever judgmental reason that is, when actually Candy ended up being the shit.
Amazing.
Like, amazing, the best. But I think in this situation, she's looking at Eve and is like, wow, she cares so much about him. She stood by his side. She's so sweet. She's stunning. They're made to be together. I need to step back.
Well, Ella didn't like Eve at first. Ella went
She
in on
tried
a mission.
for 2 seconds.
It lasted all of 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when somebody catches you off guard and says, "You're Ella. You're the one." That, I mean, as a woman, sometimes you can make up, or as a person, sometimes you make up your mind that you're going to dislike somebody for XYZ reason, and then you meet them, and if they suck, then you can stick to it. But if they're great, if they compliment you,
Kill them with kindness.
I'm such a sucker for that.
Such an Eve thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Kill them with kindness. You're Ella. Goes in.
You're amazing. Lucifer told me all about you.
And they're making out by the end of the show.
That's what drugs will do to you. Make you into a lesbian.
Is that what drugs do? Is that how that works?
No, I don't think so.
I would throw out a disclaimer any second now. Throw one out. Throw one out there. Ella has a revelation of her own where she's like, I don't believe God exists.
Yeah. This surprised me that we got to this, but we are at episode 5. We've already seen her take off the necklace. We've already seen her questioning her faith and losing people in her life. It has been a slow journey to this point, but it's never good. You can have all these different realizations when you're on drugs. It is true. And on hallucinogenics and on whatever you're on, you can think you've come up with something, but always question yourself in your moment of sobriety the next day. Tips from Roxy. Because whatever she's feeling in that moment isn't real.
Sure.
It's just not. She's got all of these different chemical reactions going on in her, and she's decided God isn't real, but it's not really her deciding that. It's the chemical imbalance.
So for someone who's always been sober, I'm straight edge. And it's not a religious reason. It's not even like a something happened to me reason. It was just a personal decision. I've just stuck with it. I have noticed that people love to use being drunk or high as an excuse, but to me, it's what they really felt. It's a part of them. It's just this is now exposed it. This is it all the way.
I think sometimes, but sometimes not, because there's different. First of all, she's on Molly and cocaine because they thought it was a good idea to give her coke to help.
Sure. Why? What else would you use with Molly? It's L.A.
Yeah, I guess so. But what's going on is she's trying to answer questions. And what you're talking about is, a drunk mind speaks a sober heart. You end up making out with a guy when you're drunk the next day. You're like, oh, I was so loaded. No, you
wanted to.
Yeah, you
something.
made out with him.
You wanted to make out.
Yeah, whatever it is. But this is different because this is chemicals going on in her brain, causing her to see things. Touch feels different, lights look different, all of this stuff, and her deciding exactly, Steve. Oh God, there is no God. That is not what her sober heart would necessarily think. Sure. Now, check in, and it might be a new revelation. You might agree with it. But I have a hard time believing by the end of this season, Ella is still an atheist. I think that she is at least going to be agnostic, which means admitting, I don't know, I'm not sure, or Lucifer is going to show his face, and she's going to be like, well.
So you think it's going to be Lucifer, because I actually think it's going to be her personal angel that comes back.
I mean, that's such a weird thing about the show that angel still hasn't.
Well, because
or
it was
her imaginary friend.
It was an extra episode from last season anyway, so it didn't actually have a place where it fit in. But I definitely think it's going to play in this episode.
I think it's going to be.
That's why we got it.
I think it's Lucifer, and I think it's going to be that somehow Dan is casually talking to Lucifer or somebody, and is like, "Yeah, I feel so bad. Ella's going down this dark path. She's completely lost her faith," and Lucifer's going to.
And bring it back, or Amenadiel. We never. Maze and Dan, are we shipping that? You hate it.
Uh-huh.
I love it. I love Maze.
Tell me more. I love Maze too.
I love Maze.
And I love Dan too, but
I
you
like
want them to
Bad Dan.
bone? You want them to go to Bone Town?
I do.
Tell me more.
I'm gonna A, live vicariously through Dan. B, I love Dark Dan is so much more of an interesting character than let's do things by the book Dan. That look, that anger, it's in him.
But he's just
Maze is his drug.
What are they gonna do? She's gonna tie him up and whip him and bang him? I just can't picture the. You know how there's some couples and you look at them and you're like, I could picture them boning, and then
You
there's
don't see them.
Oh my god!
I don't see the tie whip up. I actually think it's going to be the opposite, where Dan takes charge and Maze realizes she likes it a little.
And he's gonna woo her, and they're gonna have sweet, sweet love making sessions.
I definitely don't see that happening. The phrase "think like a criminal." Do you think that's a good way to catch a criminal?
I think it's a way. I don't think it's the lawful way. Which, by the way, he's a police officer.
Sure.
So this is so stupid, Dan.
I like it. Worked for Batman.
He's the world's finest detective.
The
You can't throw
world's-
Batman at me and then have me.
That's how I feel about that. Old Lucifer versus new Lucifer. We get a lot of talk about that. The old Lucifer, the one who sowed chaos and destruction for his own amusement. This is a new Lucifer we're looking to. At least this is not the one portrayed in history.
And I feel like Eve misses old Lucifer. You ever fall in
You
love
agree
with
with
some?
Amenadiel?
Yes, and you ever fall in love with somebody and then they change? That's happened to people before. No, you're just looking at me. Yes, too deep of a cut.
It's one of those where
Too
it's
real?
like, have I ever fallen in love? That's a good question.
Well, sometimes you fall in love with somebody and then they change and you're no longer in love with the person they are. You guys either grow together or you grow apart. And I feel like Eve is still in love with the idea of Lucifer based on who she knew thousands of years ago, not in love with who he's currently presenting himself as. And I do think that he's going to mold to that version because he loves to feel love, and it's going to be a really bad version of him.
So maybe that's where the prophecy comes in.
Possibly.
That's how it could play out. I am liking new Lucifer, but I would love to see old Lucifer with mischief. I mean, it's just a thought, or at least an episode, and see what old Lucifer was always up to.
Okay.
It's interesting to watch.
Well, if he does go into this darker place with Eve, maybe Chloe's the one to bring him out of it.
That's the thing. Chloe is the light. We have gotten a lot of revelation of how Chloe has some hand of heaven in her creation. So there has to be a reason for that. And they will not let that storyline go. I don't think the writers have been very on it this season. I'm very impressed with how this plays, because this could have been a cheesy show and it's not.
I agree.
I definitely feel, and we see this in Amenadiel's Chloe's heart to heart. That was a very strong one, where
I think that it's nice to see the two of them connect because
they don't talk often.
Yeah. It's almost like we should have all of our characters check in with each other more.
You would think, hey guys, we're all privy to the secret of knowledge of good and evil, which is the concept of original sin anyway.
I was proud of her for going to him because I think it takes a lot to say, like, I need help and I need to figure this out and I'm going to look at this from all different angles. So I was glad to see this conversation.
Is Eve actually good for Lucifer?
No, maybe.
Oh.
Last episode, I think I said yes, and I think so. And then this episode, I'm like, I don't know. What are her intentions? I feel like I'm Lucifer's mom. What does that make me?
Charlotte?
I'm Charlotte here.
That's
and
the thing.
I'm thinking, what do you want from my son? What are your intentions, baby girl?
Well, here's my question to you. Here's my question about Eve. Eve, at the end, did not like the fact, or at least we get that look where it's, Chloe makes you bleed and I don't.
Yeah. She makes you
Sheesh.
vulnerable and I do not. And
Yes.
women don't like that.
Why do you bleed sometimes and you don't? And ooh, the detective.
Yeah, I don't
Wow.
know. Going back for 1 second, because I wanted to mention this Amenadiel conversation. What I thought was the strongest moment of the whole episode was the very last moment with him looking at her and saying, your dad is proud of you.
Oof, definitely.
That reached inside my soul.
Oh my gosh.
And tore my gut out.
I have no heart and still I felt.
Oh my, how could you not? Because anybody who's ever lost a family member, somebody really close to them, all you want to know, if you believe or even if you don't believe that they're up somewhere, down somewhere, anywhere, you just are curious all the time. What do they think of the choices I'm making? What do they think of me? And for her to have that, she's been negatively affected by every part of this so far. And finally, somebody delivers her good news, which is, by the way, I'm an angel, and yo, I know your dad, and he's proud
Yeah,
of you.
because she clicked. It clicked.
She
He's
didn't
proud
get
of
it.
you. He's
She was like, oh, because how often do people say to me, oh, your mom's so proud of you? It's
So
like,
strong.
you don't know, but he knows. And that was the best, maybe the best moment of the series.
100%.
Oh, my whole soul.
I almost had a tear. There was like, had I been in a different state of mind, there might have been a full tear.
Well, maybe you should try Molly next time.
Definitely not. Let's get into some news and gossip.
All right, let's do it. So we've got something really fun for you today because BuzzFeed had Tom Ellis in, and you know how sometimes they have you read troll tweets about you?
Okay.
Like if somebody, whatever. This was the opposite of that. People are so obsessed with him and
love
crush
him.
on him so hard that they had Tom Ellis read tweets about people out there that are loving him, that think he's bae and super hot, and he had to read those. It's a 6-minute clip. I suggest you go check it out on BuzzFeed because it's amazing. We don't have time to watch the whole thing, but this was one that I really loved. Steve, if you want to cue it up for us.
I'm thirsty. Mum, you've just had a drink. Me, the thirst for Tom Ellis never stops.
Yeah.
I can't read something that says Mum on it without thinking about Trisha Helfer and Charlotte Richards.
So good. It's just like people have been tweeting all of this. They're thirsty for Tom. So
I'm one of those people. I love him.
I love him too.
And I can't see anyone else playing this role.
I know. I
have to
completely
admit.
agree. Oh, he's so good. So check out that 6-minute clip again on BuzzFeed. He does the best reads and analyzes these tweets in a way that just gave me all the feels. Go check it out.
No, I can't get enough Tom Ellis. I really like this person, so
Me
I'm
too.
gonna definitely check it out. Let's do our special segment, Circles of Hell.
Now, just picture Steven right now.
Oh,
doing
that's
that.
great. That was
Wow.
it.
He came from hell.
The 5th circle of hell, where Steven is in right now. The 5th circle of hell is anger. So
You
in
think he's
Dante's
there?
Inferno, yeah, he's angry. He can't be here. Wow, of course.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a real thing.
So how does this relate to the episode then?
Well, we get a lot of anger.
Mm-hmm.
We get a lot of anger when it comes to what was going on in the episode with the murder. I feel like
Yeah, when you're murdering somebody, usually you're pretty pissed.
we get that. I mean, he was definitely upset. Marco Franklin was upset. I don't think. And then Leanna Franklin showed she was upset that Marco would try to call her out.
Yeah, but what about other than the case? I'm thinking about our main characters. Would you say that Eve was angry about how he feels for Chloe, or do you think?
I mean, there's different levels of hell that I feel like might particular to that. But if you count some bit of envy and anger together, I would say that played a major role.
And Dark Dan is definitely angry.
Is he?
Oh, he's taking matters into his own hands.
Yeah, he should.
And by his own hands, I mean Maze's hands.
He should take Maze into his own hands too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, in the circle of hell, anger, you are transported on a boat by Phlegus, and Dante and Virgil see the furious fighting of each other on the surface of the river Styx. And if you know anything about mythology, that river is the one that leads you to hell.
You think that's how Steven got there?
No, I think he was dragged to hell.
Dragged down the river?
No, just dragged.
dragged.
Like literally dragged. Like literally they just came, dragged him to
Well,
hell.
I guess when he comes,
For his
if he
shirts.
ever comes back for our next episodes,
don't
we'll
know.
see what kind of physical condition he's in.
You
Was he
never know.
dragged?
Eve looks pretty good. And she came back, yeah, it was from heaven, or was it? Ooh, we will find out. Let's get into some predictions.
Whoa.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
You think that Eve possibly didn't come from heaven?
All I'm saying is this, is the concept of Eve, is Lucifer's not in hell right now. We don't know what's been going on in hell at all. Lucifer hasn't even checked in.
So you think you can get sent from heaven to hell?
Yes,
Wow, and you think she might have been?
possibly.
Wow.
If we still believe in free choice while we're in heaven, there's nothing that stops it.
So she came up here to torture him then?
I feel that the Cain thing was brought up for a reason.
Yeah, me too.
Cain is in hell. Maybe Eve went down to visit her son in hell, found out Cain is dead finally, went to see her son. I mean, she's still a mom. A lot of things could happen. I feel like there's a huge payoff twist that's going to happen.
Okay. I theorize that Ella is going to make it so that Dan doesn't fall for Maze, and somehow he's going to come back to the light side, and there's going to be a little smoochy with Dan and Ella.
Dan and Ella?
I'm saying it now.
I like the Ella Eve smooch.
I don't think that's going to last.
It might play. Who knows?
we
Who
don't
knows?
know.
Lucifer seemed like he liked it.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe the three of them start dating.
Hey, that could really happen. Until then, where can people start dating you?
Ask it a different way.
Okay, where can people find you?
At Roxy Striar.
Oh my gosh, no one's ever gonna date her, but you can date me at I Am Tehran all across the board. Facebook, Instagram, social media. I love to hear from all of you, and of course, we love it when you comment below, so make sure to do that. And you can find me hosting a slew of AfterBuzz after shows right here as we talk all your favorite TV programs. Right now, our favorite TV program is some Lucifer. Love me some Lucifer. We will catch you next time in hell with us as we binge watch Lucifer and bring it to you directly. Until next time, bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.